Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good in quarantine.
In
13th
Hong
day
Kong, but
in one room, in my room. 16th I'm out.
oh, but you're home. You're home. That's a good
Home,
thing. Yeah.
home, yes, home, home.
Finally, finally.
Yes, yes, yes.
And congratulations on the certification that you just got. The
Yes, yes.
EWG. Do you want to tell us very quickly about that and about the fact that you're probably the only Indian brand that has got the international cruelty-free certificate? I mean, we could be
Uh,
wrong, but I am not aware.
I I'm not aware. From Asia, perhaps, but I'm not sure if another Indian brand. So, Cruelty Free International is the Leaping Bunny. It's called the Leaping Bunny program, and then they have the American Cruelty Free International is the umbrella body. It's the
Right.
gold standard. They just killed me. And they said, we've never done this before. We've never done this with somebody who's a manufacturer and, does the sourcing and all in one. They said it's the first for us. So
Ah,
they're not used
really?
to that. Yeah, they're typically
Yeah.
used to people um, sourcing and then getting it manufactured, but not being all in one.
Right.
So it was a
Right.
very interesting process. 6 months, but it was amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank
So,
you.
Kavita,
Thank you.
let's get right into it because this hour
Yeah.
goes by so fast, and I don't want to. Hi,
Yes.
Rosella. I don't want to, record two videos because one video gets more attention and the other one doesn't. And
Yes.
usually the one that doesn't is the one with more meat in it. So,
Sure.
So let's start talking about like this big word that is like, haunting everyone these days and everybody's obsessed with, whether it's in wellness, health and beauty, this word called toxins. And apparently everything is a toxin now. So because I receive a lot of messages about like, especially about essential oils being toxins. So, since you are the expert in the green beauty business, I mean, what is actually toxin in the sense that it is actually carcinogenic, it ruins the
Huh.
hormones, it in that sense.
Yeah. So see, it's such a vast and complex subject that let's do it into bite size, chewable aspects of it. So
Right.
shall we begin with, see, so I was broadly thinking we can talk about essential oils, and nobody says they're toxic, but people are allergic to it. They're known
Right.
allergens to a lot of people. So
Right.
that's one subject. The whole thing about
Right.
essential oils, and I'm absolutely pro
Right.
essential oils, but we'll understand why
Right.
there is this fear around it.
Right.
Then the other aspect
Right.
is ingredients. What is the meaning of non-toxic, or what is chemical free? So we'll go into the terminologies that generally people
Right.
understand or don't understand, and then perhaps we can talk about ingredients. What are
Right.
we? Everybody knows SLS. Everybody knows parabens are bad, but why? What do they do to you? What are the clean alternatives? So,
Right.
we could, but it's such a wide and complex
And also
topic. So I don't know.
preservatives, people expect that
Oh yeah,
that there'll be no preservatives and no alcohol, and not all alcohol is bad.
yeah. So okay. So what should we begin with?
Okay, let's talk about essential oils because
Okay.
there's lots of beauty brands in India that have essential oils, and I just want you to clarify about what is the problem with
Yeah.
essential
Okay.
oils.
So let's take an Ayurvedic and an ancient wisdom, indigenous knowledge perspective. Then we'll come to the modern science and research perspective of it.
Right,
So
right,
we know in Ayurveda, Taruni, rose is known a flower of beauty.
right,
We know there are Ayurvedic different methods of extractions. Uh, Essential oils are used widely and for centuries. In
right,
Unani, TCM, Ayurveda, I don't know, shamanism. So it is something, I mean, flowers have existed always. And to use botanicals, not just flowers, but plants and herbs and seeds and roots, it is something mankind has done forever.
right.
So when you look at something, let's take something like lemon
Yeah,
essential oil. Let's
yeah,
take rose. Let's take sandalwood.
right,
Now, some of these essential oils have inherently molecules in them that are like limonene, geraniol, farnesol. Now, some people may be allergic to these molecules in essential oils are used above dermal limits. There are dermal guidelines to use essential oils. And importantly, just like as we know with A2 milk, not all milk, gives you lactose intolerance.
Yeah, yeah.
Essential oils, if they are extracted with, say, hexane, which is a noxious gas,
Like a
terrible for
solvent
the,
extracted.
yeah. So if you're going to use solvent extracted essential oils, which can still claim to be 100% pure essential oil, but if that oil is solvent extracted, typically for use in perfumery, and you are going to incorporate it in very strong amounts in skincare, then you possibly can have an allergic reaction to it, right? You may become, your skin may react to it. But it is not, and see, even grass, many people are allergic to grass in Poland. These are
Of
natural
course,
things.
yes. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, for months.
that does not make pollen something that's toxic or grass is toxic. It
Yeah.
is our bodies, our system does not take certain things very well. So it is valid to say that some people could be allergic to essential oils, but it is fear mongering to make these sweeping generalizations that, oh, essential oil free, essential oil free. That's really honestly nonsense, because anecdotal evidence and indigenous knowledge from actually for centuries has proven and shown us, not just in our culture in Asia but everywhere, in Europe and other parts of the world, essential oils have been used forever. We've had essential oil which we make in these very traditional with mustard, muslin, and say sesame seeds, and you lay the petals on it. And there are different methods of taking out essential oils that have existed forever, and they've
Yeah.
never been a problem.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of fear mongering has to stop. And thankfully now a lot of people are challenging and questioning, and it's a very
Yes.
recent thing talking about essential oil. Essential oils are not toxic. They're not toxic. Of course, you can't directly put essential oils on your skin. You can put carrier oils on your skin. You should never put them directly on your skin. So that's the kind of
Right.
explanation behind it.
What
Yeah.
about parabens? And I mean, it's pretty much you talk a lot about parabens and phthalates, especially
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
toxic to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So in terms of ingredients, so when you have something, we're putting coconut oil on our face, in our hair, on our body, we are using natural ingredients. There is no need to preserve them when there's no water. Now, when you have a formulation which is water-based, then you need preservatives, because otherwise it's going to have bacteria, mold,
Yes.
fungi, all kinds of issues. You cannot, keep it beyond a week or so in your fridge. Therein comes, when it's for commercial use, has to be on a shelf, therein come preservatives. Now, traditionally, the cheapest form of preservative is a natural ingredient called petroleum. So parabens, all these things are petroleum derivatives. While they are natural, we know it's conclusively, there's conclusive evidence, the endocrine disruptors, genetic birth defects, many, lumpectomies in young girls, it's directly been linked to parabens. So
Yes.
everybody knows, oh, we should not look for paraben free, SLS free. But beyond parabens, there is a world of chemicals. It's a world of chemicals which are actually really, really, really very harmful, not just for us, but also for the planet. I wanted to talk about sunscreens last, but in case I forget, let me just talk about it now.
Yeah, let's
How
talk about it
everybody
now.
says sunscreens. Sunscreen is the goal. Like, we cannot live without sunscreen, right? Even in house, we talk about Blu-ray light, and we talk about visible light, and how we should at least have a city block. Oh, agreed. Fine. What is a sunscreen made of? So the drugstore variety, and which I get upset when so many dermats prescribe chemical UV filter sunscreen so indiscriminately, when in November 2019, the FDA actually put out a notice to all sunscreen makers to say, come back to us with your studies, because see, you know, these chemical filters were grandfathered, you know, whatever decades ago, and they've just continued to exist. Now the
Yeah.
research is coming out. So let's take avobenzone. Let's take
Oh, horrible.
oxybenzone.
Oof.
My goodness, you know,
Goodness.
so
Yeah.
they you know, so the endocrine disruptors, I mean, they have, and they're known irritants and allergen, you know, cause allergies, contact dermatitis. So we really need to start
And also,
questioning
they
what.
destroy coral reefs when they wash
Oh
off and they go
yes,
into the, you know, I mean,
yes,
for me, destroy me, don't destroy my planet. I mean, that's just
yes,
my
yes.
mentality, you know?
Yeah, because we are making a choice. Like, say, if you
Yeah.
want to, yeah, but then, you know, if it should harm somebody else because of my
Yeah.
choice, that's even worse. So
Yeah.
these are the things. So then the clean green alternative is traditional zinc oxide, titanium dioxide,
It's very bad
which,
finish.
yeah, the see, because it gives you a cast. But today you can get a micronized, which is non-nano, which does not absorb into the skin. And at the same time, you get so many formulations like what I'm making. I'm almost done with the sunscreen, but so many wonderful green brands are making sunscreens with only physical blockers, which are these kind of ingredients, minerals, and they are incorporating, like, if you put a beautiful if you put a lot of oils in it, it balances out that white cast and it doesn't give you that dry, you know, feel on your skin. So there are green alternatives that work. But yeah, we have to be aware of you know, things like preservatives, you know, ethylenomines. So NEA, monoethylenoamine, DEA, diethylenoamine, triethylenoamine. These are, you know, they give you contact dermatitis, this perioral dermatitis, you know. So these are the things that we, and in fact, they're
Can you
banned.
say that again, please?
Ethanolamine, and there are variations of it, like so, you know, diethanolamine, triethanolamine, monoethanolamine, and they've been banned. So the EU has banned them, if I'm not mistaken. EU has banned them, but Australia still allows them. I'm not sure, but it is, countries have banned them, but many countries still have them. So there's a lot of research today that's coming out, and you know, we're understanding the harmful effect of so-called toxins. You know, toxins. Um, so I don't know if that really answers that question. If there are any further detailed questions on,
That
you
I'll
know,
ask you. That you don't worry about. That's what
yeah.
I'm here for. So what
Okay.
about, let's go on to the other very popular toxin, which is alcohol. Now there are good
Yeah.
alcohols and there are bad alcohols. So
Yeah.
how do we know that a product has
Yeah.
a good alcohol versus bad? And what does an alcohol even?
Yeah.
We should be drinking alcohol. What's it even doing in my product?
Yeah, so see, alcohol is drying. We know that. If we've had like
Yeah.
3 glasses of wine or whatever in the night, we feel parched, our mouth feels parched, dry, right? So alcohol is very drying. So when you have something that's on your skin, which has alcohol, and it stays on your skin for 8 hours, you know, or overnight, it really dries your skin out, because we're doing this day in, day out. In the morning, we're using it, in the night, we're using it. But there are certain alcohols that are actually not even so grain alcohol, you know, from wheat, from corn. So there are alcohols that can be taken out of grain, and they're very I don't use them at all. Like, there's benzyl alcohol that forms it's a pretty decent preservative, but I still don't use it. So there are some
Benzyl.
alcohol, benzyl alcohol, yeah,
Okay.
right, and that's a preservative that's quite, even a lot of green beauty brands use it. I don't. The preservatives I like and I love, and so far they work beautifully: sodium anisate, sodium levulinate. And you know that most of our so if you buy juices, uh, you know, which have a shelf life of say 2 weeks, how is it preserved? Because if you made a juice at home, it wouldn't last 2 weeks, even in
Yeah,
the fridge,
true.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's sodium benzoate. It's a food grade preservative. It's a natural preservative. So sodium benzoate is another good preservative. Potassium sorbate is another good preservative. So when you combine co-preservatives, they do gram-negative bacteria. They're able to, so you do these challenge tests, and they're able to keep a product its shelf life for, let's say, 2 years stable without it getting, any kind of bacteria, mold, fungi. So there are
Okay.
those kind of preservatives, yeah. And benzyl alcohol is one of them, yeah.
So also like one thing with especially with like face oils and stuff that I was talking to this Pedro Catala of 12 Beauty, and he was
Yeah.
saying, and I've experienced that personally, that a lot of the face oils that you get sometimes have turned rancid, and they have
Yeah.
oxidized, and they are quite bad for the skin. So how do you
Yeah.
know that this product that I'm buying has like oxidized oil, and why is this oxidized oil so bad for my skin?
So the way to tell, of course, is like in our kitchen, if there is some oil and you can smell it, you can smell that it's rancid. And in fact, certain oils, if they are left for too long, they actually become carcinogenic
Right.
because it can turn into benzene, which is actually harmful. So rancidity can actually be bad for you. So like if you had to drink, if you have to eat dahi which has gone kharab or milk,
Yeah. Yeah.
your body is going to reject it. Similarly, with any oil that has gone rancid, and you can tell the smell, the color will be a giveaway. Why do certain oils go rancid very quickly? Is depending on the extraction method. If they're already high heated and extracted, then they're not cold pressed, they may actually have a longer shelf life, you know.
Ah,
But
yeah.
whereas kacha dhani will be just like if you buy a cauliflower or tomato which is organic with natural pesticides, you'll find the in fact kidas have already like come into it. You'll find holes in the leaves, and because
Yeah.
and that's why chemical pesticides are so prevalent, because all the insects and the bugs, they don't come near these vegetables. Similarly with skincare products, if you are going to use say oils, if you have kacha dhani oils, then they're prone to rancidity very quickly because they are so
But Kavita, it's so strange. The kachi ghani is on the this thing shelves for like years, maybe. You go to buy kachi ghani mustard oil, it's there forever.
So oils have long shelf life. Oils can last, but of course, certain oils like walnut oil goes rancid
Ah,
very
okay.
fast. That's why I love it, but I can't use it because
Right.
literally in 3 months it goes rancid.
Right.
Certain oils, like certain oils can just last.
Flax. Would
See,
flax
sesame. Sorry,
fla
flax. Yeah. Flax can really, last actually.
Oh, it
So,
lasts. Oh,
certain
okay. Okay.
flax can actually last. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hemp. Hemp. I don't know hemp. Does it last or not? But like amaranth oil goes kharab very fast. Walnut. Um, but the thing is also, how are you storing your oils? So if you're going to keep them in a plastic bottle which is exposed to sunlight, is going to go rancid, especially if you put it on
Display.
let's say yeah, so let's say in the house, if I have it in my pantry, that's another thing. But if it's on display and you have those hot halogen lights and it's exposed to light and air, remember also the BPA, bisphenol in plastic bottles leaches into the oil. That's why now mothers are not giving their babies, we're not microwaving and heating up those bottles, to heat up the milk, because we all know the ill effects of plastic. So we all know that. So, but that's another reason your oil may go rancid faster, if you, so that's why dark glass is the best way to
And to
preserve.
and to store it also in a dark in a
Yes,
dark place is a better way to do it.
yes,
Let's
yes.
quickly touch upon, sorry.
Now I was
Go
saying
on, go on.
rosehip seed oil, it has
Yeah.
vitamin A, okay?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it goes clear from being a ruby red colored oil. Within 9 months to a year, it can become a clear colorless oil. That's how quickly, if you keep opening it and using it, it's being exposed to air and light. That's one very sensitive oil. Yeah.
Right. So I want to quickly touch upon what's it called, sulfates, and I was researching sulfates the other day, and
Yeah.
from being called carcinogens, now the data is inconclusive about sulfates, that they are harmful for people who have who have eczema and stuff, but otherwise they're generally safe to use?
There's the same study on parabens. There are studies and counter studies. Depends who's sponsoring them. You
That's
can say
true. That's true.
GMOs,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
food security, the world needs genetically modified organisms. So, you see tracts of Amazon, forests being raised to the ground to grow corn and soy, which is, of course, being fed to, cattle. So there are studies and there are counter studies. But
That is
no,
true.
I absolutely do not. I'm of the opinion that sulfates are no good for,
Even
for you.
even the good sulfates, there is a bunch of good sulfates also. There are a lot of kind of greenish hair brands use.
Sarcosinate, sarcosinate, but that's not a, see, sodium lauryl sulfate is bad, but sodium
Yeah,
lauryl sarcosinate is better, but it's
yeah,
still not like green. But
right.
sulfate, no, no.
Again,
I don't think.
the same problem is with like sulfate free shampoos. That is with like mineral sunscreens. That the touch and feel is so bad of like
Yeah,
sulfate free
yeah.
shampoos. Oh, good
Yeah.
lord!
See, sulfates, why they're so amazing is they are dirt cheap and you get
Yeah,
this foam. You get this foam. Foam is a psychological factor. Foam does not clean. It has nothing to do with cleaning. It's just psychologically makes you feel like you're cleaning.
yeah.
So
And also the hair feels like each and every strand has been
yeah,
cleaned.
exactly.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, so that's the thing. But there are so many, Vasudha, there are such amazing alternatives which give you a creamy foam feel, but the price is, I don't know, 100 times more than, the
That's the other
sulfate.
thing with the sustainability is not cheap.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap. It is
You
truly, it's
know?
not, yeah, just like organic food is not cheap. But if
Yeah.
everybody starts eating it, then, like we used to, look, this is a 3 decade old problem. Before that, we didn't have these kind of, I will not, I mean, it's a whole different topic now in terms of GMO and pesticides and, how food turned to what it is today. But it
Right.
wasn't like that. So
Right.
similarly with skincare. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you your favorite question, which is like,
Yeah.
talking about expensive things. Now we have sandalwood moisturize, things like sandalwood moisturizers and, rose water or rose essential oils that are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have to say
Yeah.
about that?
So, okay, we will talk in the context of Indian sandalwood. You
Yeah.
have Palo Santo, which is from America. You have Australian, sandalwood. So we will not talk about those, whether those are ethically, but we know in India, sandalwood with the overuse, overconsumption, it's an endangered, critically endangered species. We all know that, right? Today you're not able to get sandalwood carvings and all, like when I was a child you could get so many of those sandalwood carving that were truly sandalwood. So sandalwood is an endangered species. Okay, now the government is farming very, and it's banned for export. So if uh, any brand is calling it sandalwood without clarifying, and it's a brand that's not made in India, I don't know how they're getting it, because export is banned. Now let's talk about in Mysore, which is where sandalwood comes from. There is very little that the government is farming sustainably. And I will tell you, because you don't see any sandalwood. I love sandalwood. We all grew up with it, but I don't use it because number one, the price, and number two, more importantly, how do you know? How do you know the source? Whether it is, where are they actually, farming it, and where are they, getting it from? So sandalwood essential oil is it's a minefield. How do you even know and how you go about? So go and do your own due diligence. So after 8 years, finally, I have managed to get very little, and I'm wondering how am I going to use it. I'll have to use it limited edition. So sandalwood oil, essential oil, is around 4 lakh rupees a kg.
Wow.
Rosa Damascena essential oil. Now there are many varieties of gulab. But let's talk about the gulab that typically Rosa Damascena or the Hassan. It can go from 9 lakh rupees to 14 lakh to 28 lakh rupees a kg.
per kilo.
Okay,
But
per
tell
kilo.
me, why is rose so expensive? Because it's easily, I mean, it grows in India. There's no ban on it. It's not endangered. Why is it more expensive than sandalwood?
This is the Rosa Damascena. It's the queen of flowers. There's very
This is the
little.
one that it's not a
Yeah,
desi
this
gulab.
not the desi gulab, but you know, Rosa Damascene, like there are so many, like oregano, rosemary, jungly. They all grow in India as well. Nettle, you know, all these things grow in different. So you know, in the Himalayas is where the Rosa Damascena grows. It just happens to also grow there,
Right.
and you have to steam distill it. There's very little. You know, the yield is very low. You need some 80
Right.
kgs of rose petals to be able to get an ounce of oil. You know, it's extremely expensive. The process is so delicate and so, and it blooms. It doesn't, you don't even know. Even like I work with a very small distillery in Himachal, and their entire livelihood is only this, and it's a wood-fired distillery, and the entire year, this is all they do. And you know what they can produce, Vasudha? Only 5 kgs of rose. And when I talk to him and I say, Kya hai? There are so many brands in there. He says, he said, I don't understand. He said, it's not. And I remember talking Kannauj, say, a 4th generation family of distillers, and the gentleman told me, you give me your rose essential oil. I will take it inside. I'll come back to you in 2 minutes. I'll give you 1 kg of it. You will not be able to tell any difference. This is, I'm quoting him. He told me, and it'll be a fraction of the price. So, you know,
Yeah.
so it's, yeah. So if you are getting a 200 ml bottle of body oil, which is got rose and it's for, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 rupees, it's not possible. It's not possible.
Right.
Of course, there are other variations of rose essential oil which are not as expensive, but even then, you know, pure
Right.
essential oils are going to come at a cost. Yeah.
Right. Also, you know, in the green beauty business, there is greenwashing in terms of certifications, or like this whole trend of like self-certifying your brand. You know, wherein you put the icons on the
Yeah.
packaging to make it
Yeah.
look like they've been certified, but actually they haven't been certified. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one who has a problem with it, or it, I mean, it should be something that everyone should have a problem
I
with.
also have a problem with it.
You know, because it gives the impression
Yeah. Yeah.
like for instance, like why would you use a bunny photo to say cruelty free when you haven't been certified by either PETA or like, you know, the leaping
Yeah.
bunny thing.
Leaping bunny. Yeah. Or yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
so what do you think about this whole, you know, they put on their thing like non-GMO, cruelty
Yeah.
free. Like I believe
Yeah.
you if you're telling me you're a small brand, and I believe you that you're cruelty free, because animal testing takes money, it takes scientists, it takes labs. So I believe you. So, you know, I mean, I just find it
No. No. ऐसा
it
नहीं है.
doesn't,
That's not how
ऐसा
it
नहीं है.
works. See, नहीं. See
अच्छा.
what? So how it works is like this. I'm a brand, and I want to make shampoo. I want to make shampoo. Now, I'm going to use, so shampoo needs surfactants. You know, shampoo
Yeah.
can't be just an oil and this thing. So oil and water
Yeah.
don't mix. So when we say cruelty free and not tested on animals, it's not that I'm testing it on animals. My glycerin, my
Okay.
preservative, every ingredient, my emulsifiers, those have not been tested on animals, and those we don't make. Those you have to buy from the manufacturer of those. So if I am using sodium anisate, sodium levulinate as a preservative, I can't make those, you know. So though they are absolutely natural and not lab made, but those I have to buy. I buy from Dr. Stratman's in Germany. So, you know, when you need preservatives or emulsifiers, those are the ones that it's important to know whether
Right,
them,
right,
and you
right,
must take
right.
a declaration from them that we certify that we have not tested this on animals, and there's a cutoff date of 2013, especially Leaping Bunny, which is a gold standard, which is also working in China to help China to, you know, move away from their mandatory animal testing policy, you know, and which is why so many brands have got a lot of flack and people have stopped using those brands, you know, and we
Yeah,
sitting
yeah,
in
yeah.
China don't sell in China because of those animal testing rules. So it is not the brand that is testing on animals.
Got it.
Yeah. Now the other thing about greenwashing is, uh, okay, so if you have a leaping bunny, uh, there are bunnies and there are emoji bunnies also, but
Yeah, so putting emoji bunnies is my. Why would you put an emoji bunny also, right? It gives the wrong
yeah, so
impression.
yeah, so it's a question of, are you trying to, in the mind of your customer, are you trying to say that you have this certification by putting this logo type of thing? So for example, if somebody is, I've seen somewhere where there's the leaping bunny logo, which is a particular way of that bunny, it's leaping. And then it has this circle around it, and at the bottom it says cruelty free international. So if you take that and you say cruelty free, then that is passing off, because that's a trademark logo. But so many people do this, which is, yeah, which is called
They
that's
do
the
that
greenwashing.
also?
Of course, so many brands have that logo without
Right.
saying international, but it says cruelty free, and they take away the TM. So, yeah, so there's all these kinds of logos, or organic. And that's one thing I want to talk about. So in terms of certification, people don't really know what's the meaning of organic or natural or wild, or what is even organic by trust. So really it is for people to understand that, not, like I said, petrol is natural, arsenic is natural, so not everything natural is good. And equally, you need to know in terms of chemicals, like especially in makeup. So this whole thing with mica, and the whole thing with lakes and dyes, dyes are made of coal tar. They are banned. EU has totally banned them. So now there are lakes. So instead of these, which are so harmful and not reef safe, and more importantly, not good for us, why not a synthetic version? See, I don't make makeup per se, but when I choose a brand, I would say I'll use Fluorogophyte, which is a synthetic but clean form of getting pigment for, let's say, a red lipstick. And I also am cruelty free. I really care for animals and birds and bees, so I will never use a red which has carmine. That's very cruel. That's a
It's
cruel
made from the
lipstick.
carmine, the bug.
Yeah, the bee. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The cochineal bug. So for me,
Yeah.
because if then I would rather say a synthetic version than a natural version, which is so cruel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I think,
it's
yeah.
not, yeah, it's a mineral, it's synthetic, but it's a mineral, and from a mineral you synthetically, like a lab made diamond, if you can kind of give it an analogy,
Yeah.
but it's clean, it's not harming us or the planet. So those are the alternatives, I would say. But yeah, coming back to certification, so yeah, if you have these logos which are just like fair trade, and you actually cannot, if you don't have the transparency or accountability, you're not able to demonstrate as a brand that you actually are fair trade, then you know yeah, but then you have all
Yeah.
these, yeah,
Because
certificates.
now, the green beauty business is full of a lot of jargon that people use freely on the packaging, which is
Yes, yes,
fine, which would be awesome. It would be awesome if they were actually doing it, but there's no way to know. There's no
yeah, yeah,
supporting evidence on the website to
yeah,
support that claim or whatever. And
yes,
now, what you've told me about animal testing, it makes the whole business even murkier because I have
yeah, yeah.
I don't even know where you're
Glycerin,
sourcing your things from.
hyaluronic acid. Please tell me, hyaluronic acid, plant derived, is an extremely expensive substance. Okay, your variation, the first of all, if it says hyaluronic acid, is it animal sourced or is it plant sourced? If it's animal sourced, not only that's very cheap, but it's a cruel, I mean, it's terrible. Where it comes from? It comes from snails, and it comes from rooster.
That
It's
little,
terrible. Yeah,
right.
so these are not cruelty free ingredients. Glycerin, how often, you need to know, is it vegetable derived or not? So, but yeah, these kind of labels, like, oh, and another label that's my pet peeve, chemical free. Are Baba, water is also a chemical, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
H2,
Exactly.
and O. So what is the meaning of chemical free? What you mean is, it doesn't have these questionable, ingredients that are, and like I said, natural can also, arsenic is natural, but it's it is poison. So
Right.
there has to be this understanding. Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
there is no like proper authority. There's no governing authority. Whether even in the green beauty business, I think beauty business in general. I
yeah,
remember a dermatologist telling me long back that you can take any product and you can put hypoallergenic on it, and nobody's going to question you.
yeah. This, I, yeah, and you know, the food and the personal care industry, we desperately need regulations and laws that are current, you know, current. There's a
Mm.
desperate need, but there is the lobbying, and so, you know, those labels are long, I don't know, you know, this is it. Yeah, it's a difficult, yeah, like you see FDA in cahoots, you know, with big
Pharma
corporations,
companies.
and
Yeah.
yeah, you know, where
Yeah.
pharma and even agriculture, you know, there's a whole, it's very difficult, you know.
Yeah.
But you just have to keep asking for it, and there are then, you know, so there are pockets of, you know, I mean, the people like us who are so concerned and particular about all this, that's brought about this whole movement, you know. So you have B Corp. I just heard about it yesterday, actually.
What's
And
it
then
called?
we worked B Corp UK,
B Corp.
so
Okay.
at least B
Okay.
Corp UK. So, you know, therein you can, and like Provenance, we worked with Provenance. In fact, they approached us and they sponsored us. So we didn't have to, you know, pay those fees. They do an amazing accountability report. So they use blockchain technology. So you see, if 20 years later, I say that I told you today on a live chat that my rose essential oil comes from here and they only make 5 kgs a year. And if I'm making those statements and claims and I'm going to do documentation, then it's third party verified. They hire an agency who will call my supplier and say, is this what I paid
Oh.
you? I have to demonstrate,
Oh.
you know, yeah, invoices. This is what I paid. This is where it comes from. Kalyan, one of my suppliers, he was somewhere in Europe, Switzerland, waiting to board a flight, and this third party agency called to verify that actually, had I done my EcoPod project, do we give back to the community? What actually do we buy from those NGOs that we are giving back to those NGOs? You know, what do we buy from them? And then all the invoices. So this is called accountability. This is called verification. This is called transparency, traceability. Me saying it means nothing. But
Yeah.
when you have a third party, and especially with blockchain, because that history, that provenance is immutable. I can't 20
Right.
years later change it. It's there, it doesn't change, you know. So this is where, you know, people can gain the trust that, okay, you know, this is what this brand does, and you demonstrate it, because you have to have transparency. So this is
Right.
more and more brands should do this, you know, where your customers can gain that kind of trust. Otherwise, it's so hard. There's no regulation. You can put anything on your labeling. How can a customer tell?
Right.
Yeah,
Also, like, what about these things like soil association and
yeah,
Cosmos and all the
yeah,
and BDIH
yeah,
and things like that? Other
yeah,
other
yeah.
EU certifications more trustworthy than the US ones?
Ah, yes, I will say that. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Come on. I mean, US,
Yeah.
please, you know.
Yeah.
Half of those people who sit on the board are on the boards of Monsanto and all that. You
Of
know,
course.
let's not
Yeah.
even go there. It
Yeah.
makes me
I
very
was just going to
angry.
say
Yeah.
that's where the whole GMO thing started.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So you cannot patent life forms, man. This is biopiracy, you know.
Yeah.
So that's another topic, you know, food democracy. But
Yeah.
yeah, all these certifications, to a consumer, at least it gives you a level of trust. But I have my own issues with a lot of certifications. So, like I was just talking the other day, organic certification. When you have to, and I'm all about biodiversity, you know. Uh, um, Flora have to, you know, our world, the soil needs biodiversity to be fertile. So if you're now, organic certification is very expensive, you know. So
Yeah.
if I am, and I'm a proudly make in India brand, all my ingredients are from India except for things like if I need some emulsifiers or preservatives, which, you know, the best ones come from Germany for me. But if I'm working with small farmers, and I work with a lot of ladies who have hardly, you know, this room sized of land. So one season they'll do garlic. another season they'll do haldi or something or the other. How can they certify? Because a certification is that the soil is clean, and then what are you growing on it? So if I'm going to grow lavender and I've paid $25,000 or whatever to get the certification that my lavender is certified organic, then I have to keep growing that, you
Yeah,
know.
you're absolutely
And
right.
so that is actually, it's not actually very environmentally friendly in certain ways, because the meaning of organic is, and I've traveled all the way into, you know, stayed with them in the villages, genuinely. So many small farmers are organic in that, you know, they have vermicomposting, which turns into mulch, and they're truly organic, you know. But with this third party certification, you need it, but also,
You're
you know, it's
absolutely 100% right about that.
difficult.
Also, like, to convert your land from, being like the normal,
Yeah,
whatever pesticide wala to organic,
yeah.
how many years?
Three,
Like
three
three years,
years, 3 years.
What
Now
is the
that
farmer going to
farmer,
do?
he has
Exactly.
to pay mortgages. I work
Yeah.
on Kheti Virasat Mission. In my
Yeah.
husband's from a farm. You know, he's a Sardar. He's a farmer. He has farmland in Punjab. And so when we went there, I took his chachas and all. We went to Jaipur to this Kheti Virasat Mission. They do model farming. They teach you with neem and gobar and cow urine and all how to make your pesticides. And you know, my goodness, Vasudha, you have to see such big kaddu, what yield they're getting, and you have 20-30 different vegetables growing, you know, biodiversity, multi-cropping. And they said it's a myth that, you know, you don't get enough yield and you have to have those pesticides. And on the way back, you know what, because we have 80, my chacha has 80 acres of land that they farm, and you know how uranium enriched it is, that soil in Punjab, what has happened, and their water tables are so low. He in the boot filled chemical pesticides for their, you know, on the way picking it up for the farming. It is terrible what is happening. So yeah, all this organic farming, when I went there, they said it's very difficult to get people to convert, because 3 years, who's going to pay their children's school fees, pay the mortgage, sustain themselves, you know? So it's a very difficult thing.
I remember once we were having a conversation and you said something on the lines of that I'm not even looking for organic, I'm looking for pesticide free.
Yes. So, you know, it's a very difficult thing, because how do you know? See, brands have to do their own due diligence. So for me, I do it because I personally go there and I personally, you know, look at the lay of the land, literally kick tires. And as we say in our corporate world, you know, you kick tires and you understand, are they really doing what they're doing, you know? But there's few and far between, but it's growing. It's growing. Now, one very important thing I want to talk about is, you know, the PGS, participatory guarantee system. Now in India, so it's a movement that started by the Federation of Agricultural, you know, Association. India has its own version. In 2005, the government, the Ministry of Agriculture, they decided, okay, we'll have this consultation. 2011 in Goa, they formed a society, the PGS, the Participatory Guarantee System Society. And basically what it is an entire village or an area together collectively says, we as stakeholders will monitor each other and make sure
Wow.
that we do not use any chemical pesticides. We are going to go organic. So this is really the grassroots producers, the peasants, and the chota kisan and the farmers, because each of them can't afford the certification. So it is self-certification, self-monitoring, and self-governance. And then, of course, the PGS, the body, you know, monitors, and, you know, so this is a cost-effective way, especially in places like India, you know, where we are largely an agrarian country even today. And it is our farmers that need all that support. So, you know, when we talk about turning organic, then why should you only have to rely on third-party verification, right? Or
Right.
certification of. So this is a movement. This is something we should all be supporting. Look for that PGS, you know,
That's
certification.
very nice. That's a
So
really good tip,
important,
Kavita. Yeah.
because we're supporting our farmers. Yeah.
So, talking about, like, supporting people on trust. Now, there are so many lovely green beauty. There's a green beauty explosion, not just in India, but
Yeah.
around the world. And there
Yeah.
are like for every brand that sends me product with like icons of whatever on it. There are so many other brands that I'm like, you don't even need to be certified. I love you
Yes.
for whatever.
Yes.
So how do
Yes.
you know? Like for me personally, because I have access to the founders, I can tell a lot
Yes.
about, is this brand coming from a place of passion? Like there's this
Yes.
one brand called Vilva, whose shampoo and conditioners, by the way, she makes sulfate free and beautiful shampoo and conditioner. That
Yeah.
brand was born out of, like, her mom passed away because of some complicated skin infection which led to one thing to led to another, and then she decided to come up with this brand. So beautiful story, lovely
Yeah.
products, the body, it's
Yeah.
she had, I actually don't know whether she has certification. I didn't even bother to check, but it was just, it's a good brand because I know it's coming from
Trust.
a place of passion. Yeah, I
Yes.
trust. But
Yes.
for the lay user, how can they tell that without certification whether this product is good or this product is actually green?
Yeah, there are, it's such a, yeah, it's like going to a doctor. How do you know, that this doctor is, he has all the certifications, but how good is he, or a lawyer, or I don't know, whatever. But certain things, as if I'm a customer, see, I don't have a shampoo conditioner range, right? So what would I look for? Makeup, what would I look for? So first thing I look for is the ingredients, right? And if I don't see all the ingredients, or if at the minute I see the word key ingredients,
Oh
I've
God, no,
left
no,
that,
no.
I'm
Yeah,
away.
yeah, that's a good
I'm
one.
away.
That's a good
So
one.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Key
yeah, yeah,
ingredients, no. Now, see, in
yeah.
Ayurveda, unfortunately in India, and this is where I really want to work with Ayush, and I'm going to push this, because in Ayurveda, you're not, with an Ayurvedic product, you don't have to put all the ingredients, but the choice is yours. Now, what happens is, in Ayurvedic products, you can put down QS, which means quantum
QS base,
sufficiency.
yeah. Hmm.
Matlab,
Hmm.
quantum enough. It means
Hmm.
what is the quantity, that ingredient, there is enough of it used. So in
Yeah,
that, you can hide all the things you want to hide.
yeah. That usually
And
happens
nobody,
with very inexpensive brands. I don't want to take the brand name, but
yeah.
the really massy, inexpensive,
Yeah.
natural
So
brands, it happens
QS,
with them.
yeah. So for me, if you're a brand, okay, so legally you're allowed to do this and sell. But to me, if I see QS again, I run away.
Hmm.
I want to see
Hmm.
all the ingredients in descending weight order. So
Hmm.
like, I'll give you an example how to tell. So let's say a brand says they are, on the title it says rosehip oil.
Hmm.
Rosehip oil. But then they do give you all the ingredients, and there's jojoba in it, and
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
this and that, there's that. So rosehip oil is the first, but there are different things. So let's say if there are 8 ingredients, and they're all, your rosehip oil is just 1% more than the rest. It could all be all equal.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I've got
So,
Moringa powder cleanser which is primarily made with potato starch.
but does it say potato starch?
Yeah, yeah, it says potato starch in the ingredient. The only thing is Moringa is the second last ingredient. So then it should be potato cleansing powder.
Yeah, exactly. So now yeah, but see, you and I are a bit more aware. So you need to
Yeah.
know that, if it says, if this is the meaning of greenwashing, it means the product is not what it says it is actually. So
Hmm.
if it says rosehip oil, on in the front, then it bloody better be rosehip oil.
Be
We know
rosehip oil.
coconut.
Yeah.
We know coconut oil so well in our country. So if you buy a
Yeah.
bottle and it says coconut oil, virgin, cold pressed, da da da, and then at the back you see 8 other oils in it, you're going to say, what? But this is not coconut oil. This is
Yeah.
greenwashing. Or if you put like icons is greenwashing, because you are visually giving the impression of all these things, and if you're doing them, then that's fine. Like
Yeah.
fair trade doesn't, you don't need to get a certification of fair trade, but you should
You
be
can
able to
put evidence of
demonstrate
it. Yeah. You should put evidence
somewhere
of that on your website. Yeah.
in your blog, on your website, in your social media platforms. Share with people why would you say you are fair trade or cruelty free or vegan, by declaring in many ways. And this is where a consumer can build trust with that brand. Even if you don't know
Right.
the founder or you're not able to speak to them. Oh, but also ask. I get asked, is your mica ethical? So many people ask me, is your mica, because what's happening in Jharkhand, 5-year-old children are dying. I mean, thousands of children are dying, being put into those mines to, which is why I say synthetic is sometimes better.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the mica? So my mica is declared. I have declarations from my mica suppliers, from Germany, from Korea, from Canada. There are declarations that the mica is not, it's ethical mica. It's not from that kind of,
So
like conflict-free diamonds. Yeah.
Talking of Germany, like, Rosella, my editors asked one questions, which is basically lessons made in India can borrow from made in Germany when it comes to beauty. And Germany has they have wonderful green beauty
Dr.
brands.
Hauschka, yeah.
Yeah,
No, but we don't need to look to Germany. Germany looked to us. Rudolf Steiner and the Biodynam, he was totally inspired from Vedic, from Vedic farming, right? Biodynamic farming is, what is it? The Rudolf Steiner, I mean, he was so inspired by, Vedanta and the Vedic way of doing, agriculture and farming. So they've taken, Sanskrit as a language as well, So
a lot of Germans, I'm surprised, can speak Sanskrit. I mean, they're Sanskrit scholars.
Because the language is, it's an Indo-European language. But we should look within our own, ancient wisdom, indigenous knowledge. We should be extremely proud, within India. The world comes to us. The world comes to India to take, essential oils and perfumery, they all come to India for it. Just like with textiles and, embroidery and all of that, with fashion, there's a lot. India contributes a lot, but especially in no burriti and no exotic prickly pear, blah, 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 nothing. No jojoba, no shea butter. Why? I have beautiful ingredients in my country and thousands that are not even discovered. So why look to the West? No. No need.
But there is one thing that, like, Dr. Hauschka has managed to put out a good quality product,
Beautiful.
which is accessible to everyone. It's democratic. And as of now, sustainability is not democratic in India. We're having this conversation because we're privileged, because we can.
True.
So that is somehow, maybe like make better quality, like whatever you get from Germany, like somehow start doing those things here, that we can have our emulsifiers here, we can get our better quality preservatives here, we can have better policies in terms of, like, pulling out mica, things like that, small things. Knowledge we already have. It's just the...
Germany as a country is, it is far more in terms of the EU, in terms of regulations, stringent standards, certifications, and people generally tend to, follow guidelines and follow regulations. In India, it's, it has to still get there. But, in terms of Germany, like in India, to be able to get a preservative which is ethical and green and clean and EcoCert certified, to the extent for me that EcoCert certification tells me that, the process, there's been a process, there's due diligence that has happened. That gives me the comfort. Otherwise, but my first choice would be India. If I can find an ingredient in India, I will never go and look for it elsewhere. So if I can find butters and I can find oils and I can find other things in India, that's why not even shea butter, jojoba oil and argan oil, and I don't use any of those things. I think there's but certain things, yes, but there's a lot to emulate, a lot to be inspired by, and a lot to learn from. No doubt about it.
Right. What are your favorite, like, obviously Pure Earth is wonderful, but to close this conversation, we only have 4 minutes, and I want to save this. If you can just quickly tell me your favorite green beauty brands, like maybe 1 or 2 in India, 1 or 2, whatever.
Yeah, I love Maelstrom. I like that she is, now that's a brand I would trust, if I was a consumer, I would say, okay, and also I don't know the founder, but what they put out, there's an amount of trust that they build with their customers. They are quite clear and transparent about, how they source. Well, not really, but how they source, but at least they make these, statements, and they don't have they're not putting certifications left, right, and center to gain that trust, but it is through taking you like into the kitchen, or their, you know, the kitchen as a window into how they make and, you know, how they're formulating and all of that. I like that. I like Damamiel. That's another brand I love. I like her ethics. I like, you know, her formulations. I'm a formulator, so, you know, I study the formulations, and I have a lot of respect, you know. These are two brands. In India, you know, with, like, if I have to go and choose, say just a pure, I like Navdanya. They're not a brand that does skincare, but, you know, I would be happy to buy coconut oil from them, or any other ingredients from them. I would trust Navdanya because they have their own farms and they have their own, you know. So I would, yeah, I would buy from them. And there are many good brands
Right.
out there.
And Navdanya is Vandana Shiva, so I mean,
Vandana Shiva, yeah, you know, so
yeah,
the heroine,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So the
But
brands
there are
that she just
many
mentioned,
brands.
the brands
Yeah.
that she just mentioned, somebody's asking, is May Lindstrom and
Yeah.
Damamiel. These are the
Damamiel.
brands, Damamiel,
Yeah.
and obviously
Yeah.
Navdanya in India. Okay, Kavita,
Navdanya.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you
was
so much.
fun.
Any sort of closing thoughts on green beauty, clean beauty, basic hygiene?
Uh, yeah, you know, I think knowledge is queen, king, queen, whatever. I
Yeah.
think each of us has that responsibility as well. We
Yes.
need to question and we need to ask, and that will bring about that change in the industry. Because
And everybody has to
supply,
do their own research.
yes. See, demand is going to drive, you know, what the supply does. When we start questioning and we start asking, then hopefully we'll see those changes come through. Yeah.
Yeah. So nice to see you. So nice to see you back
Yeah.
home. And like really enlightening conversation. It's like one of our dinner table conversation that's
I
happening
know,
over
I
Insta
know.
Live. Except,
We're just live.
except, you know, you're more relaxed.
True.
Okay. All right, then. There's only 1
Okay.
minute left, so I want to save this video. Mwah.
Sure.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Take care and have
Take care.
fun. Bye. Bye.
Bye.